Good evening, I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently Thursday, just about 7 o'clock actually, and now we're at August. So I want to touch base today and do today's daily recap of events that affect the way you get, protect, and enjoy your life, money, and retirement. So the question for today is, what is the single greatest secret of the rich? And I'll get to that in just a few minutes, but that'd be sort of interesting. As we've been doing since early March, basically, touch base on the current COVID cases because, again, as the single biggest driver, it's affecting pretty much the world right now. COVID cases in the U.S. are at 5,240,000, okay, right now. That's up 59,000 cases since yesterday. Again, total number of people that have actually recovered is basically 30%, but they got a little reporting glitch in that, I think. The number of deaths, though, there's no reporting glitch of that. You know, if you're dead, you're dead. And they can keep track of that one pretty easily. So right now, if you get COVID, if you're diagnosed with COVID, it's basically a 3% chance that you're actually going to die from it, which is not the 0.01% that everybody says it's the flu. It's not. We're into this for 8 months now. We should start getting serious at some point in time. Get a 3% death rate. Right now, the total deaths in the U.S., American citizens, are 166,956. 166,956 Americans have died since January from COVID. That's up 1,400 since yesterday. California got the #1 spot, biggest number of cases right now. They have 594 cases, 594,000 cases. They're up 8,000 cases since yesterday. Their deaths right now, 10,813. Okay, they're up 171 since yesterday. Florida's at the #2 spot. They're not having a good time, mostly because of their governor refuses to wear masks. He makes it optional, and still a big push for the schools to reopen. That's not working well. It hasn't worked well in Georgia. It's not working well in Florida either. Texas got the #3 spot. They're in the same situation. New York's at the #4 spot because they have leftover numbers from early on when they got hit in March and April. They've got this pretty much under control at this point in time, but their cases are still high because of those early numbers. Georgia's at #5, and again, they are not having a good time. Again, problem with the governor there. He doesn't want to require masks, and because he doesn't mandate the masks, it's optional, and he's got another big push for it to open schools too, and that's not working out well for him at all. Okay. Illinois is the #6 spot. Arizona's at the #7 spot. They're also having some problems out there. New Jersey's at the #8 spot. Again, they're in the same situation that New York was, in that they had a number of cases early on, and their numbers are high because of that. Right now, they're pretty much under control. North Carolina is at #9. Louisiana is at #10. Again, the South and the Southwest and the Western states are not having a good time. They dismissed this early on, and they're starting to realize now, as the cases mount up, as more and more people realize that either themselves or a family member or a friend has gotten COVID, and it's not a light case of the flu. Some of them actually died. That this is a little bit more serious than what they thought, and the media isn't hyping this stuff at all. Now, as the United States reported the highest number of deaths from coronavirus in just a single day since mid-May, President Trump yesterday continued to press for the nation's schools to open, okay, bring kids back into the classroom, for businesses to open, and for athletes to fill the stadiums. Okay. And I quote, "We've got to open up our schools and open up our businesses," he said at an evening news conference at the White House, adding that he wanted to see college football season this fall. Let them play. That's what he said. The president also made his latest concerted effort to get students back into U.S. schools, saying that 99.9% of the deaths are from older folks, adults. Okay. And the schools should be making plans to resume in-person classes as soon as possible. Well, on Wednesday, the country reported its highest number of deaths in a single day since mid-May, at nearly 1,500. The country right now has seen a 7-day average of newly reported deaths above 1,000 for 17 consecutive days. That tally makes it exceptionally clear that this is the deadliest day of the summer so far for the pandemic. So far, the United States have recorded more than 52 million cases, with a death toll of well over 166,000, and it's still growing. The pandemic right now, consistently taking more lives at any time, any day. Okay, since mid-May in Texas, the positivity rate has jumped to about 24%, and the state has reported more than 300 COVID cases, 300 COVID deaths. More than 1,000 Americans are dying a day of coronavirus. Georgia reported 105 deaths on Wednesday, making it its second triple-digit day in a row. North Carolina also reported an additional 45 deaths on Wednesday, tying its highest daily number from back in July 29. Texas reported 324 additional deaths from the disease. Right now, a poll shows that a majority of voters, 59%, oppose schools fully reopening. Donald Trump often says that what most people only think, but he actually says it out loud. So another knack for that. Things that people might be thinking, he actually says them out loud. He did it again today, okay? In an absolutely amazing way. During an interview on Fox Business, when he flatly admitted the real reason why he's blocking the inclusion of any money for the United States Postal Service in the coronavirus bill that's in front of Congress right now. They're still working on that. I quote, he said, they want $3.5 billion for something that will turn out to be fraudulent. That's election money, basically. They want $3.5 billion for mail-in votes. Okay, universal mail-in ballots, $3.5 trillion. They want $25 billion for the post office. Now they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all those millions and millions of ballots. Now, if we don't make a deal, that means they don't get the money. That means they can't have universal mail-in voting. They just can't have it. So, you know, sort of a crazy thing. Very interesting. End quote. I have a problem just going through and trying to repeat what he says. My mouth doesn't go in that direction. My head doesn't go in that direction. Okay. Now, putting aside the fact, okay, that he blocked the coronavirus bill because the money is there allotted for the Postal Service. Okay. Again, it's the Postal Board of Governors that he appointed that want the money. And they say they actually need more than what's in the bill. He appointed these postal governors, okay, and they say they need more money. The president is blocking the whole thing, okay, including, okay, increased education funding, rent and mortgage assistance. Many people right now badly need that stuff. And he's blocking it because he doesn't want mail-in voting. The President of the United States is purposely trying to make it harder for votes to be counted. Why? Because he believes that mail balloting is just ripe for fraud. And that's an okay belief, up to a point. The problem with the view is that it's simply not supported by any real facts whatsoever. Now, Trump likes to focus on 500,000 absentee ballots applications that were being sent to the wrong address in Virginia recently. Truth of the matter is that while those mistakes can happen, there's absolutely no evidence of widespread purposeful voting fraud. And just because the ballots are sent doesn't mean they get counted on the back end, because every state checks them against their own voter rolls. So it doesn't really matter what's set out. What gets back in and processed and is checked is what really counts. Now, there's a study after study, okay, come up and show the same facts. One, a Loyola law school professor, Justin Levitt, tracked U.S. elections from year 2000 to 2014 in search of voter fraud. or as he put it, specific, credible allegation that someone may have pretended to be someone else at the polls. How many examples did he find? Exactly 31. 31 out of more than 1 billion instances. 31. That makes it such an infinitesimally small number, it's almost ridiculous. That's not to say that each of the 31 instances of attempted voter fraud isn't worth investigation. But we don't want any voter fraud at all. But it is to say that 31 instances out of 1 billion is nothing anywhere close to widespread voter fraud. It just doesn't exist. Now, Levitt's study is far from the only one that draws such conclusions. A 5-year study on voter fraud commissioned by George W. Bush, George W. Bush, found the same conclusion as Levitt. And they wrote, the New York Times at the time, the Justice Department has turned up virtually no evidence of any organized effort to skew federal elections. Now, in the 2016 election, in which more than 135 million votes were cast, there were a total of just four documented cases of voter fraud, according to the Washington Post. Now, what is happening here is that Trump is using the power of the executive branch to actually block legislation solely because of a totally factless belief that there's mail-in ballot fraud. It just doesn't exist. And because he said this too, he thinks that mail-in balloting benefits Democrats. And I quote, I'll try it again. The things they had in there were crazy, according to Trump. They had levels of voting that if you ever agreed to it, you'd never have a Republican elected in this country again, end quote. Now, given all that context, it's very clear that Trump is working to block money for the post office because he thinks it's his best chance to either stop or badly disrupt the way that votes are actually cast and counted in this election. Trump said, and I quote again, this will be the greatest fraud in history. This will be the most fraudulent. This will be almost as fraudulent as Obama spying on my campaign, but not quite. This will be the greatest fraud in history, end quote. Again, where his head at is absolutely beyond me. Trump also admitted that he was playing a role, or at least trying to play a role, in undermining the ability of votes and voters to cast ballots and for those votes to be counted, which is actually an amazingly stunning admission, even by Trump's standards. It's the U.S. president actively, blatantly, out in the open, trying to squash voting rights, trying to make everybody come out in the pandemic that is totally not under control because he knew what he was supposed to do way back when. Again, the U.S. accounts for basically 4 to 5% of the world population, but we account for basically 25% of all the COVID cases and the COVID deaths. Who do you think is getting it right? The rest of the world or us? And that brings me to the question of today. What is the single greatest secret of the rich? Because that's the only person he's really working for. The only person he's actually working for is himself. But what's the single greatest secret of the rich? There's one force in your life that makes everybody equal. It's hard to believe, but there is. Just one force that makes everybody equal. Each of us has exactly the same amount, no matter if you're rich or poor, black or white, male or female, Muslim, Catholic, Republican or Democrat. How you handle this and treat this force is the single most important contributor to the income that you'll have and a lifestyle that you'll lead. This is why Jim Rohn, speaker, motivational guy from the 60s, interesting guy. Watch some of his videos. This is why he said, this is the single greatest secret of the rich. What is the secret? It's the management of time. Rich or poor, we all have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. Time is the single most important, precious moment, the commodity that you have in your life. How it's managed. separates the rich from the poor. And really, as you know, you really can't manage time anyway. It's a constant. It's marching on constantly. It moves, whether you want to or not. Time is constantly moving. The only thing you can do is to manage yourself within the confines of that 24/7, 365-day-a-year matrix. Now, time management is really about self-management. What do you do with your time? Okay, you can't manage the time. You can manage your activities inside of the time frame because time keeps moving along. Dr. Oz is on TV, interesting character. Okay. When he was doing things, he was doing on average 250 open heart surgeries a year. Okay. Was the chairman of surgery, was the director of a medical program, a prolific writer, host of his own 5-day-a-week TV show, and a devoted husband and a father. He said it's not about time management. It's about energy management. The things you do in your life should give you the zest for life. He said that, what you're doing at a job efficiently and effectively is using your time. But are the things you're doing draining your life force? Okay? And zapping the joy that you have in your life. So no matter how efficiently you think you're using your time, are the things you're using your time on giving you more energy, or are they draining you, basically? Now, you look at your own self and you know immediately, okay, where you should be spending your time. Okay. Does it give you energy, or does it take it away from you? So your self-management task is to spend more time on what gives you energy and to guard against, eliminate, delegate, mitigate your time on those things that take energy away from you. As an investor of your time, so you can do is invest your time. Okay, you want to look for ways to get a better return on your energy, a better ROE, return on energy. Think about it. What are the things that you have to do today that drain you of energy? What are the things that you do today that will give you more energy? How you might feel better to guard against and eliminate, delegate, mitigate your time on those things that take energy away from you. Do you savor the experiences you're having right now? Or are you just going through the motions, waiting for that thing or that activity to finish? Be sort of halfway completed so you can move on to the next unsatisfying activity. Take a look at that. It's really important. That's the difference between someone who has a lot of money and a good lifestyle and someone who doesn't. What are you doing in your time? Are you doing things that you actually enjoy? I thoroughly enjoy spending time with my wife. If I do nothing more than sit home and have some wine and cheese with her, I'm a very, very happy boy. I savor that time and that activity. I'm retired now. I quit working. Wasted my time. Didn't need the money. So anyway, I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor. My only goal is to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. Now, if you want help in getting the excitement back in your life, being able to truly savor, the experience you're having, and glide effortlessly into an ultimate secure retirement that you've always dreamed of, and do it in just the next 3 to 5 years, go to my site, drrousenow.com. See if I can help you get the time and the cash flow to actually start enjoying your life instead of just going through the motions. For now, I've enjoyed spending time with you. I hope you've enjoyed your time here with me. I look forward to doing this again with you. Today's Thursday. On Monday, we take the weekends off, and I've got to be somewhere tomorrow, so I'll be able to see you guys tomorrow. But again, I'll be back on Monday around 7 o'clock, and look forward to seeing you guys then. Thank you.